Welcome to Technica's Technopodcast. I'm Floricel and I'm the 2025 brand director.
And I'm Sreya, a 2025 brand organizer.
And today we are joined by someone who is no stranger to Technica, Annaika. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi. My name is Annaika. I am a UMD and Technica alum. I graduated from UMD in December with a degree in computer science. And while at UMD, I was on Technica for about 3 years on the sponsorship team. And now I work full time as a software engineer for Meta in New York.
So let's get right into it. Could you tell us a little bit about what drew you to Technica and the team that you started on, Spawns, and what kept you coming back every year? In other words, how has Technica impacted you?
Yeah, of course. The reason what drew me to Technica was because a family friend had done Technica, and she said it was a really great club for like her self-confidence. And so and like her, her public speaking skills, so that drew me to it. But also I really, really love organizations that promote like having more women in tech because it was only because of a similar organization, Code with Classy, that I even considered like doing computer science in college. So I wanted to contribute to something that would inspire more women to believe that, oh, hey, you can do computer science, you can be a software engineer, you can go into these fields.
That's really inspiring, and I think anyone who does join Technica can relate to that a lot. I know personally I do. Um, Even as a civil engineer major, women in STEM like a really prominent mission.
Yeah. And
Um,
then
sorry.
Oh, what kept me coming back each year was just genuinely the organizing team was so amazing. I've like all my closest friends in college are from Technica.
Yeah, I've made like some of the best friends in Technica.
Mhm.
Mhm. Following up on that, what's your favorite memory with Technica?
It would be the 2023 Philly trip when we had like a director's trip to Philly in 2023. That was so much fun. That was like we got to explore the museums in Philly. We like stayed over at a hotel. We got to like watch Love Island. Like that was really fun. Just to bond with my directors.
That sounds super
Mhm.
fun.
Yeah, I love my director's retreat. It was really fun too. But yeah, Technica has been running for 10 years. We just celebrated our
Mhm.
10th anniversary. So, as someone who was in the org for three of those years, what do you hope for the future of Technica?
Honestly, I feel like these days we're seeing a lot of cuts to diversity programs. And I feel like I don't hope for the future of Technica to be super flashy. I'm not like, I don't want this to go to an even bigger venue. I just hope that it still is running the same way that it was. And I hope that every year we don't necessarily count numbers like, oh, hey, like we didn't raise that much this year than last year, or not that many people came here. I just hope every year there are people who come and we know, like they have told us, or like we know that they have felt like they have benefited from it or they have felt like they know they are valued in this field because of Technica, or that they can enter computer science because of Technica. And I hope that we continue to inspire women and persist no matter at what scale, despite the cuts in the country to diversity programs.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think in recent years we've seen a lot of cuts, as you were saying, and um, I think news-wise it can be kind of discouraging. But I think having that community to persist in college, no matter what age you are, I know we've had like 9-year-olds present at
Yeah.
Technica having workshops and stuff, and that is so great to see. We're
Mhm.
impacting people from such a large range of ages, and I really hope that when that
Mhm.
9-year-old like decides to go to college that Technica is a prominent reason why she may
Yeah.
decide to go into CS. So yeah, I totally agree with what you said.
Mhm.
Me as well. And following up on that and a little bit more on like organizations that really help promote this mission. I read that you're a member of Rewriting the Code. Would you like to tell us more about that?
I think, yeah, rewriting the code is a really impactful organization. I think in general, it's like a women in tech organization, but it's like international. I think it's a great way for people to stay connected with the women in tech community, even after graduating college. Or like, let's say you cannot be a part of Technica, but you still want to be a part of this atmosphere. Rewriting the Code is sponsored by a lot of really cool companies. So they always have like really cool webinars with companies. They're always doing offsites in cool company offices, and they have a virtual career fair. Like I got a really cool opportunity with Datadog and Reddit through rewriting the code. And they also have like women in tech meetups in a bunch of major cities in the country. So they have a lot of them in New York or DC. So I think it's a great way to, build your career, find opportunities at companies that you know value diversity, but also just like stay connected with women in tech at several different companies, even after you graduate.
That's
Mm.
That's really cool. I know, looking at some data, a vast majority of Technica participants actually register and attend
Oh,
Technica because they found out Technica through rewriting the code,
oh, wow.
specifically the Slack channel. So there's a lot of connections there.
Rewriting the code also gives grants to a lot of women, like for college, and doesn't even have to be like if you really needy, they also give emergency grants, like $500. Let's say like you need a grant to go to a conference and you don't have enough money to pay for the flight ticket. Like they give emergency grants for a lot of cool stuff like that. So really, really cool org.
Sounds very, very cool.
Mm.
Um, Further online stalking or looking through your LinkedIn. I know you saw my LinkedIn connect request.
Oh, one more thing. I got LinkedIn Premium for free for a year through rewriting the code.
Oh,
They were just randomly giving it away for people. So that's how I have LinkedIn Premium.
that is that's cool.
Yeah.
I've always wondered about LinkedIn Premium. Um, you mentioned this earlier as well. You worked with Code with Glossy and you were also a software engineer intern at Qualcomm, Meta. How did you get these experiences? What were your biggest tips for those starting to look for these internships?
So Code with Classy I got because I saw a girl in my high school did it and I thought that was really cool because she ended up on the Today Show in New York, like interviewing for Code with Classy. So I was like, I want to be famous. So I applied for it after I graduated high school and it was really amazing. And then because I had done a camp once, I applied the next year to TA for the camp and they let me. So that was a really cool experience. I got to work with Carolina Herrera. Our camp was sponsored by her, so we got to do a cool stuff, meet Carolina Herrera. That was really cool. Um, and so then that was summer after freshman year. Then summer after sophomore year, I did an internship at Qualcomm. I actually got that through Technica because I was on the spons team. I was talking to Qualcomm about sponsoring Technica, so I was like constantly talking to the recruiter. And then once I applied to Qualcomm, like, the recruiter recognized my name because I had talked to him so often about sponsoring and I got through to the interview and then I got the internship. And then actually building from that, I got Meta through another club at UMD called Quest because I went to a career fair at Quest and the Meta recruiter was there. And so I talked to her, I took the OA, and then I heard back actually the next year. And then they offered me an interview, and then I did an internship there. Oh, my biggest tips for those starting to look for internships is be a part of like smaller clubs at college or like more, yeah, smaller clubs at college because that's your best way of like reaching out to a recruiter directly. Like I was able to talk to like being a part of Technica, especially if you're on the spawns team or other teams, you have direct access to talking to recruiters that other people don't. Being a part of rewriting the code, there are so many cool webinars there that not that many people attend. So you have like again direct access to talk to a recruiter just because you're part of a smaller org. Even like being a part of Quest, I was able to talk to the recruiter because not that many people showed up to the Quest career fair. Um, so I think just being a part of like smaller orgs that are more specific to you, maybe there are orgs for your ethnicity, and that can really help you with talking to a recruiter personally and getting an internship.
That's awesome. And we know that, or at least I remember you being in office hours when I was taking 330. And so we've interviewed both Cliff and Anwar. So as a previous 330 TA, what did you like most about that class? And how do you think being a TA made an impact on your professional journey and getting those internships?
I will say the number one thing is that like that class taught me Rust. And so I currently work on a team at Meta that we work in Rust. So I remember when I joined last year, everyone was like, "Oh, like you're gonna have to work in Rust, but like don't worry, like you might not have experience, like nobody really has experience in it." And I was like, "Wait, I was like I actually TA'd for a class in Rust." They were all really shocked. Like a lot of my team members were shocked that I did Rust in college because I guess it's not really taught in college at all. So I think that's even the reason why I was selected on my current team just because they saw that, oh hey, like she has experience in Rust. So genuinely number one thing is like that class teaching you Rust is so impactful because so many people don't expect you to have college experience in Rust. But I think another thing that impacted me as a TA is like as a TA, the class was like really technical and really difficult to understand. So a lot of times when students would ask me questions, I would have to like look through the code and think of it and understand it super quickly and think of an answer on the spot to help them. And that's kind of exactly what happens in my job today is that I have to the technical code base is so like it's so difficult that like if I'm going through some sort of thing with like my team member, I have to like understand it like quickly or understand as much of it as I can so I can ask a question to my team member or so I can clarify something because in a team meeting I only really get like 5 minutes to ask them clarifying questions on something. So like the more that I can understand quickly, it's like just understanding stuff that's like completely new to you. I think I had a really good experience of that as a 330 TA because I had to constantly understand like the new projects that were being thrown at us so I could explain it to students.
That definitely makes a lot of sense. I
Yeah.
think being able to adapt to new
Mhm.
environments really quickly is really important in any professional role, regardless of how technical it is. So yeah, I totally agree with you. And kind of keeping on par with like these kinds of habits, what do you think you had during your internships? What habits did you have that positively impacted your performance? Did you end up doing like coffee chats with a lot of people on your team or at your company?
Mhm.
And like, how much time did you focus solely on your intern project? How do you kind of like strike a balance between those two? Because I
Mhm.
know, at least in my experience, like when I get into like a rough part of my project, I kind of
Mhm.
like forget about all of like whatever networking
Yeah.
opportunities that are available at like the
Yeah.
great, breadth of whatever company I'm at can
Uh,
offer. So how did you kind of like strike that balance?
I will say like they gave us a huge emphasis like you have to finish your intern project. And it's like I think like the return offer was very much determined by like your lines of code or how much of your project did you finish. But actually like I and a lot of people we didn't even finish our intern project and we still ended up having a good like overall impact over the summer. I think a lot of that is communication. Like I first entered the team, I had coffee chats with all my team members and I got lunch with them every day. I sat next to them, so I talked to them all the time. And then when I was struggling, I like remember I told my manager a lot, like, oh, I'm not understanding this. Like every single day, I was asking questions to my team members. So then eventually, like, even though I didn't finish my intern project, I think basically because I had been in constant communication with them every day, they kind of realized at the end of the summer that like they thought the project scope was too big or they gave me too big of a project of itself. And they only realized that because they knew how much effort I'd put in every day. And like, despite all the effort and questions I had asked every day, I didn't finish the project entirely. So then they kind of realized on their own, like, oh, hey, I think this project was like a little too big for an internship. So I think like obviously you should know how to do technical skills, but like just like being a people person also really helps. If like you're just always asking questions to them and like always just being like, I don't know what this means. Even currently at my job, someone will give me something. If I don't understand it for like 30 to 40 minutes, I'll like message them like, hey, can we have a small call? Because I don't fully understand this. And I think eventually, like, this has happened a lot as I currently started working. Like, they will be like, oh, wait, they're like, yeah, this project actually, I didn't clarify this correctly. I'm sorry. Like, you might need an extra week to complete this. So I think, like, yeah, just like being in, like, asking questions all the time. And so the great thing about that is that even if you don't finish your project or you're taking really long to finish something, at least everyone on your team kind of knows, like, why that happened, especially like if you put a lot of questions in like the big team group chat, then everyone on your team knows like, oh, hey, this is a problem that she's struggling with. That kind of explains why this project took her longer than needed. So I think as far as coffee chats, I didn't get to do that many with people on other teams. I'm starting to do that now more as a full time. But I will say, as a full-time person, I'm asking people on other teams who are kind of familiar with my code base. I'm like, what is the most difficult part? Like, what's the most difficult part of the technical stack? and they said like, oh, hey, like what you're working on right now, we thought that was the most complicated part of the technical stack. And like that made me feel really a lot better because I was not understanding what I was working on at all. So when I heard other people from other teams saying like, oh, hey, what you're working on is like the most complicated thing of the whole technical stack, like you should not feel upset about like taking a really long time or not understanding it at all. So, long story short, just be a people person. I guess that's underrated, right? Just like always ask questions, always communicate like, hey, I'm struggling today. I'm not understanding this. And then in some ways, just like they're a lot more reliant, they're a lot more tolerant than if you don't necessarily finish stuff on time. Definitely focus on your intern project, but like even if you don't finish it, it's not necessarily the end of the world because you have communicated a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I can totally agree with that. I think communication, especially like when we're
Mhm.
college students, the lines of communication that we have with the professor, sometimes even TAs, once you get to like the upper echelon of like at least the CS classes,
Mhm.
you feel like everything's kind of on you and like whatever questions you have, you either have to like answer them yourselves or like,
Yeah.
talk to other people within the
Mhm.
class to figure it out. But I
Mhm.
think in a professional atmosphere, it's really important to voice whatever concerns you're having,
Mhm.
especially when you're starting out new because people understand that this is the first time you're experiencing any of this.
Yeah.
Even if you've had like previous intern roles, if you're coming into a new company, you don't know how anything works there. Teams can work very specific or differently.
Mhm.
So I think just having that communication is can make the biggest impact on people's impressions of you from the beginning. And like
Mhm.
I think this is what something I've learned a lot like through my internships is just like establishing that very clear communication, frequent
Yeah.
communication shows people that one, like you care about what you're doing and that
Mhm.
you care enough to like ask people to get
Mhm.
whatever you need to get done, get done.
Yeah,
So yeah,
exactly.
I totally hear you and agree.
Mhm.
So kind of going into the transition between being an intern and full-time, I know you can probably speak to this specifically at Meta, but what's the biggest difference between being an intern and working full-time?
That's what I'm like trying to figure out currently because I did get feedback from my manager that I was like acting a little too much like an intern. I was like, what does that mean? But I kind of realized the meaning was that like I was kind of only focusing on my project, which is what you're expected to do as an intern. But I think as a full-time, you're really expected to go above and beyond, as in like for example, there was like this testing system that was not working for me. And it was like the testing system someone else set up and it was just like not working. It was really slowing me down. But then once my project was done, I didn't care about it. But then my manager was kind of like, hey, like maybe you should think about like asking that person, how can you fix the testing system, you know? Or like someone else, I just told someone on the team recently, I was like, yeah, I think it would be really cool if there was this new feature on the logger because that would really help me when I'm logging stuff, right? And then I was thinking like, and then someone else was like, hey, like why don't you work with me on like creating this new feature as well? And I think one of the things that we are evaluated on is like better engineering. Like, are you making the engineering easier for other engineers to follow? Are you like helping other people who come after you? Like, are you making the systems better, the tools better for other people to follow? So I think that's been the hardest thing as a full-time is realizing like I should not only focus on my project, I should also focus on like improving other stuff in the team, maybe writing like wikis for people on the team to introduce them to systems taking a step into like helping like onboard my new team member, like introducing my new team member to the systems. So I think it's just like you are expected to do a lot more than just your project, which was the biggest like transition for me.
Yeah, that makes sense because you're
Mhm.
like officially part of the team, so you gotta be
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Have you met any interns on your team? Or
I
you
no,
interned?
I we did not have any interns on our team this summer. There was an intern on like the sister team, so I was talking to him. But yeah, I do know like But yeah, I was realizing recently that just me focusing on the project I was assigned was not enough. And like in fact, like I was like, oh like hey, I should look into fixing the testing system for other engineers or like improving the logging system for other people on my team. So just like going above and beyond just my project scope.
Also, just one random question.
Mhm.
Did you return to the same team that you interned on?
I actually did not. So I returned to like a similar team, similar as in like we both use the same languages like Rust, C++, but the technical stack is like the same languages are used, but like the technical stack is completely different. So I did have to do like a onboarding all over again for this team.
Um, what's your advice for people who are now looking for full-time opportunities, like coming off those internships?
Mhm.
Maybe you're not looking to return back to the company you interned for, or maybe you are. What are some general advice you have for those people?
I guess I have two separate pieces of advice. Um, if you are not looking to return back to the company that you were at, I think really I think more than like I think really take advantage of like networking as much as you can. And I will emphasize this from before, but like be a part of as many like smaller clubs or orgs at college that you can be, like rewriting the code, like Technica, like even Code with Classy, like I was a part of, and like get on their email list. Like let's say you did Girls Who Code like back 5 years ago. Like, don't get off their email list because all these small orgs, they always have like opportunities with companies. They're always like, hey, like here's a webinar with someone at Datadog or someone at like NVIDIA. Like, and it doesn't even have to be a recruiting event. It's just like a small webinar. But even if you attend like small webinars, like these small these small clubs, like they notice that you're attending webinars and then that kind of helps you if you're applying for a position, but like take advantage of like any career opportunity that's given to you in smaller clubs or smaller orgs because that really helps you be noticed to get a job, if that makes sense. Like through rewriting the code, for example, I attended a webinar with Reddit that was not even related to recruiting. It was related to imposter syndrome. But then I think they noticed they kept a track of who attended that webinar. And then when I applied for an internship at Reddit through rewriting the code, they remembered my name because I had attended a webinar with them and I got an internship interview with them. So just take advantage of like any like career opportunity that comes up, even if it's not like recruiting related at any of like smaller clubs.
Once you have those resources in college, it's very
Mhm.
hard to like get them again.
Yeah.
Post-grad, as you were saying, I know
Yeah.
rewriting the code is a little bit of an exception.
Mhm.
But yeah, Technica also has really great connections for that as
Yeah.
well.
Mhm.
Especially like coming to the hackathons, sponsorship fair, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of great sponsors.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, having worked at two really big tech companies, Qualcomm and Meta,
Mhm.
what do you think are the pros and cons of working at a big tech company are? And have you ever considered working at a startup? Because I know I have kind of like gone back and forth on what I think of startup culture.
It's like so one of my coworkers, he actually worked at startups for 3 years and then he came here. So I was kind of talking to him about this the other day. I think a pro at working at big tech is that every like the onboarding process is like there's so much support for you just because like they really have everything organized. Like they have all these wikis organized, they have the onboarding process super organized. Like you have these people on your team that are assigned to help you with this project. It's basically like they kind of like hold your hand throughout the whole onboarding. But I think a con is that you are like restricted to a very small part of the code base. And whatever you're responsible for is like a very small thing. Like I am currently creating a feature to help do something very small that will help the ads team. Um, and I and even if you work on something like Facebook stories or like some front-facing product, usually your product is just like, hey, like add one button or like change the color of a button. Like that's like your scope on what you can work on is actually really small because of like how big the company is. Like you as an individual, you're probably making a very small change to anything. And also like so I think like that's kind of the con is that like I have considered working at a startup just because I think it'd be cool to say like me as an individual, I have done a lot more. I had like a lot bigger impact to a company, but definitely like I have to find a startup that like I definitely like and I am passionate about before I like think about entering that field. But yeah, I would definitely say like a pro is that like they really hold your hand. It's a really great place to get industry experience, but the con is that you can't really say like exactly what you have like impacted in the company.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Do you think, I mean, I know you're already like working now, but would you pick like starting at a startup and then going to big tech or the other way around?
I guess I guess I would do it the other way around because at this point I only have experience from my college classes and I feel like in a startup they expect you to have like, I actually don't know. I feel like they expect you to have expertise in like full stack, like you gotta know front end and back end. And at this point, I am only really specialized in back end because I did only internships in like back end, which Qualcomm was also back end. So I feel like if I entered a startup today and they're like, hey, like I need you to do something front end, I would just be like, girl, like, yeah, like I feel like I would need more experience in a lot more areas of, I don't even know anything with app development. Like I feel like I need a lot more experience in a lot of areas in tech before I even consider going to a startup.
Do you find yourself still learning outside of work, like reaching for those YouTube videos or something, like just something new related to tech?
Honestly, like I actually don't because I think like work kind of like at the end of the day I'm kind of burned out from coding. But also it's like work doesn't end at 5 p.m. because I'm realizing now is like to kind of keep up with some of the deadlines my manager has imposed on me and do like some of the extra stuff on the team. I do have to work a little bit on weekends or like when I come home from work. So it's not like 5 p.m. like I'm done with work. I still like work a little bit when I get home and sometimes on the weekends. So I don't really see myself reaching out to learn other stuff just because I'm always working. And I don't really have that separation of work-life balance for now. But I think maybe in the future, once I have like a solid work-life balance, then I'll definitely look into like learning other stuff outside of work.
Yeah, that's valid. I remember like even during my internship when I was doing my little project, I was like, oh, I'm so tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to impart to our Technica viewers or just viewers in general?
Um, I guess what I want to say is that like Technica was a really special club for me in college. And um I think I just really hope anyone who's a part of Technica or like I just hope anyone knows like you are welcome. Like, you can get a job. Like not you can, you are welcome in the tech industry. Don't be intimidated by people. Don't be intimidated by people who are like, "Oh, I've been coding since I was 9 years old." Like you think like blah blah blah. Like I feel like no matter how early or like late you learned how to code, no matter how like don't ever think like, "Oh, I'm a too beginner, I can't do something." Like always just like there's always people like you who are welcome in tech and you can do anything you want in tech. You can join a startup, you can create a startup, you can join a big tech, like you can join a big tech company. Like don't ever doubt what you can do because of discrimination from others in the field, you know? I guess that's what I would like to say.
Well, thank you so much for saying that.
Yeah.
I know a lot of our viewers and just people in general really
Mhm.
appreciate that message, especially now. So thank you so much, Anika. And
Mhm.
we really hope to see you at Technica this year if you're able to
Yes.
come. That would be amazing.
Mhm.
And yeah, I guess that's all we have today.
Mhm.
Thank you so much.